This is Dateline News and Conversation. The top stories today: Bakhmut officially taken, maybe, and some discussion about the Russian blogger Vladimir Tartarsky, who was assassinated at the hands of the Kiev administration. My guest tonight, my friend and frequent on the show, Vladimir Kozin. Vladimir, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, Regis.
It's always good to have you, Vladimir. Let's start with Prigozhin's statement that the city of Artyomovsk was basically captured. You have some interesting views on what really happened.
No, it has not been captured, Regis. There is an acting chairperson of Donetsk People's Republic, and his good name is Denis Pushilin. Denis Pushilin recently made a statement that Artyomovsk in Russian or Bakhmut in Ukrainian language has not been captured yet. And Pushilin's advisor recently announced here that Russian troops are controlling 70% of the territory of that city. It means that 30% are still controlled by the armed forces of Ukraine. Western sector or western section of the city Artyomovsk / Bakhmut. But at the same time, Russian servicemen have blocked all roads, automobile roads and railroads leading to Artyomovsk or Bakhmut and from that city to the rest of Ukraine. So any supply of reserve forces or ammunition or weapons actually cannot be arranged from the Ukrainian side. But it was a kind of symbolic gesture that yesterday Russian flag was hoisted over the main administrative building in Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. Symbolic because it means that there is no Ukrainian administration in that huge building located in the center of the city. But nevertheless, it does not mean that the Artyomovsk or Bakhmut has been actually captured entirely. So the fighting goes on. And when the city will be encircled, engulfed by the Russian troops, nobody can tell you for sure. The fighting is continuing, it's very fierce, but I think that without reserves and additional army supplies of the besieged, nearly besieged formation of Ukrainian armed forces in Bakhmut or Artyomovsk, it will say the following: their fate is doomed. Sooner or later, Artyomovsk will fall down. And Denis Pushilin, acting head of the Donetsk People's Republic, also mentioned that Russian troops have not noticed any exodus of armed forces of Ukraine from Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. So they are fighting, they are inside, but the morale is very low. They understand that they won't be able to fight for quite a long time.
Okay, Vladimir, I'd like to clarify a couple of things. First of all, you mentioned that the roads, highways, and railroads leading into and out of Artyomovsk have been under the control of the Russian military, the Wagner group.
Mhm.
So, what that means is, as you indicated, they are not able to resupply troops, ammunition, and it would appear to me that, as you mentioned, the exodus, the retreat from that area by however many Ukrainian troops are there, they're cut off. Correct?
Mhm. Yes, Regis, you are absolutely correct. Because all highways and railroads uh, going to Bakhmut and back to the continental Ukraine are blocked and are heavily shelled by high caliber artillery pieces and multiple launch rocket systems like Russian Grad, Smerch, and some others. And additionally, it was announced yesterday that St. it's a huge flamethrower that can create 3,000 Celsius temperature at, at, at the specific target it hits. So no person, no military hardware like tanks, armored personnel carriers, or people can survive such a huge temperature, 3,000 Celsius. Mamma mia, incredible! Everything will be burned completely. And one rocket from Sonsuperg flamethrower, the square of annihilation is four football uh, uh, place, a football area. Yeah, just
Ball
I,
field. Yeah. So,
football field. You're right. Thank you. Football field. Right. Four football fields.
wow.
So it's quite a big square of annihilation, and we use this kind of Solnceberg flamethrower sometimes in several directions in Ukraine, but not on a massive scale. And nowadays, we will use it on a massive scale because we have to do something. So either Ukrainian armed forces will surrender and be regarded as prisoners of war, or they will be killed or injured. Their fate is very, very poor.
Yeah. I want to clarify a couple of things. The second thing that I wanted to clarify was you mentioned that uh, there still are Ukrainian troops in the western part of the city, or or are they outside the city in some other
In,
region?
in, in, in the western part of the city, it's called sector, like 30% naturally facing the continental, the rest of the territory of Ukraine.
So my other question is, do you have any idea? Does the Russian military of defense have any idea how many Ukrainian troops are in Artyomovsk now?
Well, nobody had arranged a census or public opinion polls there, but the figures differentiate from time to time, from 5,000 troops to 10,000 servicemen from Ukrainian side. But many of them have been killed already. So, and without resupply and resending additional troops from the heartland of Ukraine, well, it will be difficult to arrange defense and resistance. That's why with each passing day, the numbers are decreasing. Ammunition also decreasing, foodstuff decreasing, medicine, pills, etc., etc. So the situation is very, very poor for them.
Okay. One more question. Is Artyomovsk slash Bakhmut in Ukrainian, is this the location that excuse me, that has been shelling Donetsk and Lugansk for the last 9 years? Is this the location or one of them?
No, not from the city exactly, but from the suburbs, from various villages and small populated areas like Toninka and some others, but not from the city because from the city to shell Donetsk and other cities and or villages or small towns in Donetsk People's Republic, it would be rather dangerous because we will make a counter battery fire. So, but you are using a small areas like small woods, small positions, and escape very quickly, but not Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. No, it will be not rational to shell Donetsk and other cities and towns in Donbass from big cities of Ukraine, controlled by Ukraine, yeah, previously.
Okay. Well, thank you for that analysis, Vladimir.
My
The other
pleasure.
the other big story in the news today is the Kiev was behind the murder of the Russian military blogger. Um, this was the statement by Russia's National Anti-Terrorism Committee,
Mhm.
NAK. Uh, the Russian blogger, military blogger, Vladimir Tartarsky,
Mhm.
was murdered, assassinated
Mhm.
in a café when he was holding a meeting with some of his followers.
Mhm.
Uh, what can you tell me about this? Um,
Mhm.
the young woman who has been arrested, she's in custody, and I guess she admitted
Yeah.
handing him this doll or statue that had a bomb in it that killed him.
Bust. It's called bust or bust. How do you pronounce? It's a kind
Bust,
of bust.
bust,
Bust.
bust.
Yes, bust. It's the upper side of a human body, the head, shoulders, and that's it. A small bust. All right, go ahead, Reggie. Sorry.
Well, so tell me what you know about this.
Yeah.
Um, it seems to me that this is just another of several political assassinations by the SBU, which is the secret security people of Kiev,
Mhm.
probably ordered by Zelensky himself. Uh,
Definitely.
it comes to mind Motorola and others in Donetsk who were assassinated
Mhm.
when they were in restaurants or getting into a car. Is this the
Mhm.
same kind of thing that's happening?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, Regis, the story is as follows. First of all, Tatarsky is a nickname, assumed name of the dead person, war reporter. war correspondent. His real name, second name is Mr. Fomin, peace be upon him, who was very active while traveling to two republics in Donbass, then served in military formation in Donbass from 2014, from the Ukrainian NATO aggression against Donbass and later on against the Russian Federation. And he became later on, when he voluntarily resigned from military service, he became a famous Russian blogger and a war correspondent. And he arranged in St. Petersburg at the café in the center of the city on at Universitetsky or University Boulevard or Prospect, a kind of presentation. He shared with the audience his experience in being a war correspondent. And unfortunately, young lady, 24 years old, from Navalny admirers or from Navalny group, allegedly for combating corruption in Russia, she delivered at this meeting into this cafe that had around 100 viewers or listeners of Mr. Fomin. She delivered a small bust, just resembling Mr. Fomin in military helmet, in military uniform, and very, familiar with his own alive image. Unfortunately, security guards that were not quite big, they initially asked the lady named Darya in Russian, Darya, to put it on a wardrobe for a while. But unfortunately, Mr. Fomin ordered to bring this bust, which was put into a cartoon box, a huge paper box. She opened and laughed when she recognized himself with his assistant. But at this time, 5 minutes later, when he saw and put the bust, he was very happy that, artist presented kind of made such a bust familiar with his original native image. And he ordered his assistants to put this bust in a box, in a paper box nearby. And the lady Daria escaped. But eyewitnesses told by Russian TV that they have noticed before the explosion actually took place, she took off a smartphone from her pocket and allegedly sent a SMS message to somebody. But who was somebody or who were somebody's investigation is underway. But seemingly, and National Anti-Terrorist Center and the Federal Security Service of Russia already announced that it was a terrorist attack, b intentionally aimed at Mr. Tatarsky or Fomin in reality, and he was killed by this explosion. A number of 25 persons were injured, some of them heavily, especially those who sat in the front chairs very close to the stage from where Mr. Fomin Tatarsky made his presentation and answered the question to the audience. Some of them were injured by shattered windows. Um, the young lady Daria already gave a live admission, revelation. She made a statement by answering questions of the prosecutors that she was responsible for delivering such a paper box with a small statue, a bust, to specifically to Mr. Tatarsky of Amin, and she actually made such explosions. But when a prosecutor or security officer asked her, "Who are they?" or "Who is he or she preferred not to answer in front of a TV camera. So we still do not know. But investigation will find out because she confessed openly on the camera on the while video recording. So I think that she will expose every detail. Who has ordered to kill Mr. Fomin or Tatarsky by nickname? Who made this bust? How she managed to deliver it, and why she wanted to escape to Uzbekistan, to Bukhara, the same evening after explosion at this cafe, because she had a ticket to St. Petersburg to Bukhara. Uh, yeah, Bukhara, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me. So, right you are. It is a kind of next terrorist attack, assassination of known persons who are considered or have been considered as the enemy of Ukraine. Because the war correspondent, they are very active and they are engaged in an information war, in averting and diverting gossips and rumors that are mushrooming from Ukrainian side. That's why he has been intentionally killed. So such operation cannot be arranged by this young lady, Daria, alone. Naturally, she relied upon the net of agents, Ukrainian agents, and at the end of my story, what I have picked up by now, I should warn all friends of the Russian Federation. In the future, there might be international gatherings or conferences or any meetings in person in Moscow or in St. Petersburg or in other cities of the great Russia involving foreign representatives, real friends and comrades of the Russian Federation. And judging by my previous experience and looking at the list of all those people killed during assassinations or assassination attempts in the past in Donetsk and in other areas of Russia, I would like to warn, to make a kind of caveat. If you need to talk to our people in the conferences, in any kind of meetings, just forget about personal attendance. Do it via indirect video conferences, internet conversation via Skype, or Zoom, or any kind of facilities, because it you will save a lot of life, including your own. So do not come to Moscow while the operation, the special military operation against aggressors in Ukraine and NATO is over. When it is over, it's okay, go ahead, but try to communicate with persons you would like to chat and get extra information only indirectly via the internet and via special platforms. I already said it will be not a problem for the organizers, etc. But be very prudent and careful. The same story might happen anywhere, not only in Donbass or Zaporozhye region or Kherson region or in the Crimea, everywhere, because aggression of Ukraine and NATO continues. So be vigilant, be prudent, not to attend crowded meetings. Besides going to make shopping, to do shopping, etc., to visit physicians, but I strongly recommend you not to come in person and not to attend any gathering, especially when there are no frames, electronic frames detecting explosives, metal, ammunition, poisonous substances, etc. It is very risky to arrange this kind of meetings without these widely known devices that can find chemicals, high explosives, weapons, small guns, sidearms, knives, etc., etc., etc. God forbid. Regis?
Okay, Vladimir, um, I'm familiar with this infamous Ukrainian kill list called Mirotvorets, and I guess that means peacemaker,
Yes.
kind of sarcastically. I have heard that there are as many as 1,000 people on this list,
In Russia.
300, 360 some children.
Yes, in
And
Russia. In Russia.
no, not just in Russia, all over the
Oh,
world.
yeah,
People
okay.
who have been high profile and maybe not so high profile, who have supported Russia in any way against
Mhm,
Ukraine are on this kill list.
mhm.
Uh, what can you add to that?
Yes, I've heard that they have a special site, Mirotvorets, like your interpretation is right, like peacemaker, like a peacekeeper, something like that in English. So they are listing a number of VIPs and rank and file people whom they are considering as the enemy of Ukraine. And that's why see people should be very attentive to any suspicious movements. There are not only political figures, but also correspondents in Moscow working at the Russia Today or Vesti radio station, Vesti FM frequency modulated radio station, famous not only in Moscow but in the Russian Federation. And people should exercise prudence and vigilance and be very suspicious to any kind of suspicious activity around them. And certainly they should ask whether they have been included into the list of Ukrainian website called Mirotvorets or Peacemaker or Peacekeeper. they will be supplied such information. Because unfortunately, not all of us can hire security guard, personal security guard, and personal bodyguard while moving somewhere in the city, visiting public places, etc., etc. So the story is very serious, and we should not neglect it. We should not, sit quietly and believing that Moscow is far away from battlefield, from line of engagement, and St. Petersburg is far away, and other cities are far away. They are far away, but agents can visit any city in the Russian Federation with fake passports, with the I mean bribed by security service of Ukraine. They might be normal Russian citizens like killer of blogger and war correspondent Mr. Fomin or Tatarsky. She was born, Daria was born in St. Petersburg, studied at the St. Petersburg University, but decided better not to continue studies. Became a sales woman in the private shop, and later on just joined this Navalny movement called anti-corruption movement arranged by Navalny, who is still sitting behind the bars.
Yeah. Well, Vladimir, I want to thank you for this. These are three really important stories that are happening today. And it seems like there isn't a day that goes by without some other really atrocious and evil or terrorist act by Ukraine, and not just in Ukraine, but in Russia and in the Donbass and wherever they can find and hunt down people. So thank you so much for the insight, Vladimir.
My pleasure, Regis. Thank you very much for your questions and for your continuous curiosity in understanding what is going on in this wonderful world.